Hi guys, happy Saturday. So, how was your guys' Friday the 13th? Good? I hope? Yeah? Okay. So, ours was actually pretty good. It was a really nice day. So, alright. Back to everything haunted, possessed. I'm still obsessed. So, still trying to find a reasonable Annabelle doll. I would love to just go get the real one. I would love to just buy it. But I highly doubt that they would sell that, ever. It's too much of a money attraction. So we have the top 14 most haunted cemeteries and ghostly graveyards. So Halloween is getting closer and I'm very excited. So, alright, now we have the St. Louis Cemetery is number 1 in New Orleans, Louisiana. And multiple ghosts are said to haunt the famous St. Louis Cemetery number 1 in New Orleans. But one ghost dominates the others, is Marie Laveau. So, the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. The ornate cemetery is the oldest cemetery in New Orleans. So it's a place of ornate above-ground tombs and mausoleums, winding paths, footpaths, and crumbling memorials. It would be really interesting just to go in and look and just to see all of those tombstones, the above ones, the mausoleums. It is so cool how everything is just laid out. But when it floods, that's the scary part. I would not want to see bodies like in coffins like floating down the street. That'd be really freaky. Alright, now we have the Old Western Burial Ground in Baltimore, Maryland. I don't know if that is where Elijah Bond is buried. He's one, him and Elijah Bond and Charles Kennard are the ones that patented the Ouija. So, but I know he is in Baltimore, or Maryland. Baltimore, yeah, Maryland, somewhere in there, I think. Yeah, Massachusetts, maybe. I'm not sure. Alright, so now this one is the Old Western Burial Ground in Baltimore. Is the final resting place of Edgar Allan Poe. I don't know if it is this one or not. So, 15 generals from the Revolutionary War and War of 1812, and other famous individuals. So, I think this is the one, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me. Part of the graveyard can now only be accessed by way of catacombs below the Westminster Presbyterian Church, where ghosts are said to walk. I like that. So that's really neat. I'm not 100% sure where he is buried. Charles Kennard, or not Charles Kennard, but I don't even know where Charles Kennard's buried. But Elijah Bond is the one with the Ouija board. So all these people that always go to that cemetery and, like the memes, you see all these memes making fun of that grave. It's very disrespectful, especially to literally one of the fathers of what we have today, Ouija. So, I've seen some really stupid stuff. And people don't know that that is actually, it wasn't, not Charles Kennard, but, God, I just said his name. Elijah Bond. So, a lot of people don't really know that that is Elijah Bond's gravestone. So, he was the inventor of the Ouija, so of course it's going to be a Ouija on his gravestone. And a lot of people, find that totally offensive, and is that your grave? Are you dead yet? No, it's not, so don't worry about it. Mind your own business. Exactly. Alright, so that is really cool. If you actually go, it is just really neat. Google Map it. Or, Google Earth it. It is so interesting to see. And then if you do the one in Chicago, I think it's Chicago, you can actually see the statue of the blue ghost on the 1960s and before Ouija board boxes. So, I have one, but I don't know where it went. But yes, the infamous blue ghost that has its arm raised is in, I think, Chicago. Alright, so we have the Resurrection Cemetery in Chicago. Resurrection Cemetery? Alright, so one of America's favorite ghost stories is the tale of the vanishing hitchhiker. Okay, so Resurrection Mary, Resurrection Cemetery located in Justice, Illinois, has been home to this famous spirit since the 1930s. So the famous burned and twisted bars at the gate of Resurrection Cemetery were removed due to discourage onlookers. Oh, so they took away the creep factor so people wouldn't try to get in and screw with stuff. So vandalism is very, very, very stupid. I mean, I hate that. So Resurrection Mary, which I think is really neat. So one of the most popular and enduring ghost stories in the Chicago area involves the spirit of Resurrection Mary. So she supposedly wanders the streets around Resurrection Cemetery in the city's southwest suburbs. So in the 1920s and 30s, there were actually several popular dance halls along Archer Avenue, not far from the cemetery, and few still do remain, including the Willowbrook Ballroom, such as the short distance south of the cemetery. It's really neat. That is really neat, because in my old apartment, my first apartment, we had a ballroom. It was a ballroom on top, but it burned down. I'm like blurry. It completely burned down. But you could still hear ballroom people upstairs like they were having a cocktail party. It was really neat. I liked it. Whoever I was with at the time did not. But yeah, so according to one version of the legend, Mary enjoyed going to the dance halls. So one night in the early 1930s, she left one of the halls and tried to cross a busy Archer Avenue. She was hit by a passing car and killed, and was buried in her favorite dancing clothes in a nearby Resurrection Cemetery. So ever since, there have been reports of a ghostly female figure wandering along the road near the cemetery. But unlike most ghosts who prefer to keep their distance and not make contact with people, Resurrection Mary seems to enjoy human contact. So some of the most popular and oft-reported stories about Resurrection Mary come from men who meet an attractive woman at one of the dance halls. After spending the evening with her, they offer to give her a ride home. She tells them that she's the daughter of the cemetery caretaker and lives on the ground. So they drive her to the cemetery. They stop the car, Mary gets out, and she disappears. Which is really, really odd. I like that. I really like that. That would be so awesome. And I really think Ed and Lorraine Warren covered this case. No, they covered the White Lady case. So they actually... Tony Sepra, their son-in-law, that's married to Judy Warren, or Judy Sepra now, they experienced the White Lady. So evidently Ed had psychic abilities that he did not use. This is what Lorraine said in some documentary. It was the Amityville something documentary, My Amityville Horror. So if you get to watch that, they actually show Ronald DeFeo Jr. meeting Lorraine again, and he killed his entire family, but she acted like he was a saint. So I don't get that. I want to write him, because I do respect him. And I do believe his testimony about the spirits and what had happened and how he was really, really messed up, and the drugs and the hallucinations. So, I kind of understand that, but I don't understand how you could kill your entire family just because of that. That's not, unless you were really, I've never been in that kind of a situation, so I can't fathom thinking about doing that. Alright, so, but no, Tony, their son-in-law, Judy, he married Judy, the daughter of Lorraine and Ed Warren. He had an experience and a ghost went through him. So, yeah. And he felt sadness and just kind of psychic, picking up what she felt, the ghost, the White Lady. So it was pretty interesting, very interesting. It's all on YouTube, you guys can see it. My Amityville Horror. I don't know where you can get it. Redbox, I don't know. I think it's on Voodoo, Hulu, I think. So I'm sure you can find it on YouTube somewhere. So ever since, there have been reports of a ghostly female figure wandering along the road near the cemetery. But unlike most ghosts who prefer to keep their distance... Oh, okay, I already read that. Alright, so some have reported that she walks toward that locked cemetery and the gates fade away. So others, well, now we know the gates are not there. So, others have said that they have gotten out of their car to open the door of their passenger, but when they reach the other side of the car, that she's gone. That's weird. That'd be odd. I mean, I don't know if I'd pick her up. I might. So, others have reported seeing the ghostly figure walking along Archer Avenue. So some have reported that she jumped out in front of their cars and was hit a residual haunting, a residual. So it's just a repetitive loop over and over and over. That reminds me of the nursery rhyme Sally Walker. So, in which the victim reenacts over and over the events of their death. When the driver stopped to see if the woman they hit has been injured, they find no one there. So it's very different, very different. So for those who believe in Resurrection Mary, she has left behind absolute proof of her existence. So according to this story, in the mid-1970s, a cab driver was passing the gates of Resurrection Cemetery late at night when he saw a young woman standing inside locked gates with her hand on the bars. Thinking that she had been accidentally locked inside and couldn't get out, the cab driver called the police. So, well, the bars aren't there anymore. Ooh, wait, wow. This is a little different. Hold on. So when the police arrived, however, they found no sign of the trapped woman, but they did discover that 2 of the bars of the cemetery gate had been pried apart, and the metal was seared with the permanent impression of a pair of small, delicate hands. Wow. So yeah, you can obviously see where the bars were pried, but I mean, that could have been people. I wouldn't put it past anybody to do that just for a scare. So one of the bars, the bent bars, can still be seen on the main gate of Resurrection Cemetery, but there is no sign of the small handprint. Cemetery officials explain the incident by saying that a truck driver accidentally backed into the gate. That actually looks at that's a lot more logical than a ghost doing it, because I don't really believe that that can happen. Who knows, though? I can't say it's not true. So, there have also been reports that Mary returns to the dance at the Willowbrook Ballroom. So men at the dance hall reportedly meet an attractive, mysterious woman wearing clothes from the 1920s. They dressed amazing back then, the 1920s. And this is the time when I was in my apartment, not in the 1920s, because I wasn't alive. Obviously. I'd be in my 80s. Yeah, my 80s, 90s. Ooh, I don't even want to think about that. So yeah, that's what kind of the ballroom thing is what happened with my apartment too. So it was just really creepy. I mean, the first night my boyfriend stayed there, and he heard people upstairs, and it sounded like a ballroom. So I was really into the 1920s and the early 1930s era when we moved in, and I had no clue about the upstairs. So it was decorated in the old Hollywood glamour, the golds, and the different black and the whites, the Marilyn Monroe, all 20s, a little bit of red, because in the 1950s ushered in the red, the color red, literally. So it's pretty neat. But that's kind of why I think they were attracted to the music I listened to at the time. It was very old school, and a lot of ballroom music. So it was different. But it was really neat. Alright, so the woman is usually described as having long blonde hair and wearing a flowing white dress. After dancing and spending some time with her, they turn away briefly. When they look back, the woman is gone. So the Willowbrook Ballroom has its own colorful history. It was first opened in 1921 as an outdoor dance pavilion by John Verderbar, an Austrian immigrant. Ooh. So he purchased 5 wooded acres of the Archer Avenue, with plans to construct a vacation home. So his son, however, was a frequent customer at the ballrooms and dance hall around the Chicago area, and he had convinced his father to open an outdoor dance pavilion, which was originally called O. Henry Park. So, offering the unique opportunity of dancing under the stars, the ballroom was almost an immediate success. So, due to the point that the Chicago bus lines changed some of their routes to provide direct service for city residents during the 1940s, my grandma would have been my grandma actually lived there. in Chicago during this time. So in the 1940s, at the height of the big band era, yes. Alright, now I see where I get my music. O. Henry Park attracted 10,000 dancers every week and presented the nation's top orchestras and band leaders, including Ozzie Nelson with his lead singer Harriet Hillard, Harry James, Count Basie, Guy Lombardo, Jimmy Dorsey, Bob Crosby, and Glenn Miller. Wow. Yeah. My grandma would love that. She did. She loved all of that. So in the 1950s, O. Henry Park expanded with a restaurant and kitchen and a private room for parties and banquets. Ooh. And was renamed the Willowbrook Ballroom. So as musical tastes changed, the Willowbrook attracted a new generation of entertainers, including Chubby Checker, the Buckinghams, Otis Day, and the Knights, Martha Reeves, and the Village People. Huh. That's interesting. So after nearly 100 years of continuous operation, wow, that's a lot. That's a very long period of time for that to be. That's so cool. And that's just a very long period for that to happen. So, the Willowbrook Ballroom is still a popular dance destination in Chicago's southwest suburbs, and hosts dance events and lessons from country, western to salsa. So you can actually go to this place. So another mystery in the Resurrection Mary's story revolves around who she is, or who she was in life. Various books and other sources cite various names for the mysterious Mary. There is no conclusive evidence as to who she was. So most agree that she was a young woman who loved to dance and was killed either in an accident or after being struck by a car on her way home from one of the dance balls. I could see that happening. I mean, there's so many stories like this that circulate just everywhere. So, if you happen to stop at the Resurrection Cemetery in the search for Mary, you might want to go across Archer Avenue to visit Chet's Melody Lounge. It's fairly easy to find. Just look for the Resurrection Mary Drinks Here sign in the front. So it's right across the street from Resurrection Cemetery. Resurrection Mary Drinks Here. So that's, alcohol intoxication. We can see where that goes. So, who knows? Obviously, Chet's embraces the Resurrection Mary legend, even hosting special events devoted to her, including the Ballad of Resurrection Mary on the jukebox. So Chet also sells Resurrection Mary t-shirts. Of course, they do. So the story of Resurrection Mary is similar to many other ghost stories. Yes, categorized under the Vanishing Hitchhiker label. So a mysterious stranger is seen along the road, asks for a ride, then disappears, but for some reason the legend of Resurrection Mary has endured for more than 70 years, and the sightings and stories continue. Now that's interesting. I mean, that is really interesting, and it does look Catholic in a way to me, but I know it's not. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it's really actually pretty neat. I would love to go there. So that is the I'm pretty close. So that's the Resurrection Cemetery. Now we have the Rockwood Cemetery in Sydney, Australia. Ooh. So this is due from some famous spiritualists. So close to 1 million people lie in the beautiful Victorian Rockwood Cemetery in Sydney, but it is also the grave of the notorious Davenport brothers, famous spiritualists. That is said to attract the ghost of Necropolis. Let's look around for the haunted cemetery, Rockwood Cemetery. That's really different. Oh wow. Alright, so it is the largest cemetery in the southern hemisphere. Rockwood Cemetery, also called the Rockwood Necropolis, is the final resting place for approximately over 1 million people. No wonder. Originally known as the Necropolis, meaning City of the Dead. I like that. Local residents lobbied officials to have the name of their village changed from Haslam's Creek due to its association with the cemetery. So in 1879, the villagers got their wish, and the area's name was changed to Rockwood. However, before long, the necropolis was also being referred to by that name. So the settlement of the Rockwood changed its name to Lidcombe, a combination of two mares' names, Lidbury and Larcombe. Larcombe also... Wait. Wow, I need glasses. Was also a monumental stonemason. Ooh. So, whose business exists to this day in 1913. The cemetery retained the name Rockwood. So, alright, now here comes about the, I think it's gonna go, I hope it goes into the spiritualists. Yeah, I really wanna find that, and I can't. So, well, evidently, it was famous for the two brothers, for spiritualists. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, that's really interesting. Alright, now we have the Skull Cemetery Stull in Kansas. Still not too far away from me. So the Quiet Stull Cemetery, located between Topeka and Kansas City in the town of Stull, Kansas, is listed by many haunting guides as one of the 7 portals to hell. And one of the most haunted cemeteries in America. Stephen Jameson, director of the Watkins Community Museum of History, thinks that the legend started as a fraternity prank in the 1970s. So, however, and have no basis in truth. The locals do their best to deter visitors on Halloween due to repeated vandalism in the cemetery. I think that's ridiculous. Don't vandalize a cemetery. Be respectful. It's ridiculous. And it's even said that a local knocked down the burned out church on the property site and the supposed gateway to hell. I wonder why. What is this gateway to hell? This gate to hell? One of the 7 portals to hell? I didn't even know there was one. Did I open it somewhere? That'd be awesome. That's interesting. So we have the Paris Catacombs in France, obviously. We all know about that. If you watch Catacombs, I don't know what year, but it has Pink in it, Alicia Moore. And it has another woman, amazing actress. Very, very good movie. Very good. So I think a lot of you have seen Catacombs. So, listed by many among the world's most haunted places, the Paris Catacombs, buried deep beneath the streets of Paris, hold the bones of over 6 million French dead interred in the empty limestone quarries from 1785 through the 1800s. With so many bones stacked upon everywhere you look, it seems impossible to believe that ghosts don't exist. That's neat. I mean, catacombs would be really cool to go into and look. Now, I wouldn't go too far because I'd get lost, and I don't want to die in catacombs. But that's interesting. So yeah, they actually did film it in Paris, that movie, and they actually did film in the catacombs, and it was really interesting. I just think it's really weird how they had to crawl over all the bones. I don't think I could do that. I don't know. So we have Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. I've seen that. I think I've been here to Chicago. I've been to a lot of places in Chicago. So this is in Chicago, Illinois. This abandoned Chicago burial ground is the subject of numerous legends and ghostly tales. So more than 100 different reports of strange phenomena at Bachelor Grove Cemetery have been collected, including actual apparitions, unexplained sights and sounds, and even glowing balls of light. So that's very, very interesting. I like that. I just think it's amazing. It really is. Right now we have the El Campo Santo Cemetery, and this is in San Diego, California. So, the now restored 1849 Roman Catholic burial ground, known as El Campo Santo Cemetery, Saint Cemetery or something like that, is a popular place for ghost sightings. Some of the graves here were covered over by a street, and others have been desecrated over the years. reportedly leaving the residents restless. I kind of would be too. I mean, why? Why do you want to vandalize a cemetery? What kind of fun is that? It's not. Alright, now we have Greenwood Cemetery, also in Illinois, but this is in Decatur. So one of the most famous haunted cemeteries in the Midwest, Greenwood Cemetery in Decatur, Illinois, is the site of numerous ghost stories and legends. So this is the Civil War section, is the most famous, said to be haunted by the ghosts of Confederate prisoners. Alright, now we have Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And this is in LA, California, so formerly known as Hollywood Memorial Park. So this Los Angeles, California cemetery is, to the stars, is reportedly haunted by starlet Virginia Rapp, who allegedly died after a night of debauchery, with comedian Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. Oh wow. Clifton Webb is also reported to haunt his mausoleum at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and a lady in black is often seen in front of Rudolph Valentino's crypt. Valentino. So, if you remember back in American Horror Story Hotel, alright, when Lady Gaga, Stephanie, she plays the lady in black. She mourns the death. She leaves one single rose on Valentino's grave, while in his the wall of graves or whatever, you can have like one, they have little vases, put a rose in there. So if you guys remember right, if you go back and watch, they actually give that story on Valentino and how he faked his death. So I know Valentino's dead. I mean, come on. So yeah, the lady in black, she did that, and it was pretty cool. Then we have the Camp Chase Confederate Cemetery in Columbus, Ohio. It's not far from me either. Alright, so fresh flowers often mysteriously appear on the grave of a Confederate soldier who is buried at Camp Chase Confederate Cemetery, believed to have been left behind by the famous Lady in Gray. So the ghostly widow, who has been seen walking among the tombstones, lost her husband at the Confederate prison camp, which existed on the spot during the Civil War. It is so much history, it's just interesting. It's very interesting. I love all of this. Alright, now we have Silver Cliff Cemetery in Silver Cliff, Colorado. And this is, ghost sightings is in the haunted Silver Cliff Cemetery date back to the 1880s. Ghosts of pioneers who are believed to be the cause of the blue balls of light that float over the graves. Step Cemetery here in Bloomington, Indiana. This is, this is pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting place. It's very close to Utica, which is where the witch's castle is. So, Step Cemetery. A number of eerie legends and tales of paranormal activity have arisen from Step Cemetery, one of the most famous haunted cemeteries in the state of Indiana. So the story is always a ghostly woman sitting, watching over a gravesite. But the origins of the woman and her story seem to vary with each teller of the tale. So we don't know for sure. I mean, it's been on TV. So has the Francisville Lights in Indiana. Now we have Union Cemetery in Easton, Connecticut. And I don't know if this is where Lorraine and Ed are buried. I think it is. I'm not sure. So a favorite cemetery for ghost photographers, Union Cemetery, is most famous for the White Lady. Okay, yes, this is where Ed and Lorraine did do an investigation with this. And their son-in-law, Tony Sepra, actually did have that, lady in white go through him and felt her emotions, felt very sad. And Ed evidently, having his psychic abilities, which I doubt, he's just a weirdo. Sorry, but it's true. Sorry, Lorraine. But I don't know, he felt the emotions of the White Lady. So she's been spotted by many walking through the cemetery at night. So other ghosts, including Indian spirits, are also said to haunt the graveyard. Alright, so the Union Cemetery. I'm not sure if that is where she's buried, Ed and Lorraine. I do not know. So, alright, so here's the Union Cemetery in Easton. Alright, so the damned story. at the junction of routes 59 and 136 in Easton, next to the Easton Baptist Church. The nearly 400-year-old Union Cemetery is allegedly one of the most haunted spots in Connecticut. Renowned ghost hunters Ed and Lorraine Warren, and their New England Society for Psychic Research have done extensive investigations of this site, as have dozens of other paranormal investigators, gathering a substantial amount of video and photographic evidence. So the Warrens have even published a book about the cemetery called Graveyard. Okay, so I don't know if she's buried there, if they are, but I do remember them telling about this. So what's the draw? So, well, the star of the show is the White Lady, who has been seen by dozens of witnesses and even captured on video, most famously by Ed Warren, and in still images. So she has been described as wearing a white gown, obviously, and having long black hair. Apparently she's a bit of a prankster, as her MO to appear in the middle of a Route 59 and be hit by a car, only for the poor shaken driver to stop, check, and find no one. Apparently, your sense of humor doesn't leave you in the afterlife. Good thing. Huh. That's funny. Kinda. Visitors have also reported seeing her floating among the gravestones. So, the ever-popular ghost globals, and other spirit-type mists have often been captured digitally here also. Another spirit called Red Eyes, aptly named, is apparently exactly as it sounds, red eyes glowing in the darkness, also has alleged to have been seen here. So legend has it that the White Lady is the spirit of a woman who was murdered in the 1940s. So after she had killed her husband, others think it was another woman who had been killed at the turn of the 20th century, and had her body dumped into a sinkhole behind the church. Still others believe it's the body of a woman who died during childbirth and is roaming the earth searching for her lost child. So since no one has actually gotten her to sit down for a chat, her identity remains a mystery. Huh, that's interesting. So this is our damned experience. So this person says, I went to Union Cemetery with a friend back in August of 2000. Right around sundown, we bought a camera, old school film. That's the best way to do it. Waited for night to fall and snapped a bunch of pictures at random spots walking around the cemetery. So we also explored behind the church, taking multiple pictures there also, all of which yielded nothing upon development. It was a clear night, and we kept a sharp eye out for mists, globbles, hands reaching up from the dirt, or anything else unusual. Unfortunately, we did not witness anything other than the occasional leaf blowing past and lots of real quiet gravestones. Nor were we covered with ectoplasm when we were done. I suppose we could have gone later in the evening, when there was less traffic around and the spirits was less shy. But after we were there for a while, without any sightings. So, it says, as I've indicated, we appear to have been in the minority, as many others have claimed to have had experiences and seen unusual things there, so maybe next time. So, update. They have an update. Okay, we returned to Union Cemetery on a cold winter's day in December of 2008. Okay, so 8 years later. Again, we didn't see or photograph anything otherworldly, although we did come across an odd set of footprints. Who knows? So, if you go, the cemetery is strictly off limits after sunset, and the Easton police are very active in keeping it that way. If you do decide to visit after dark, rather than encounter the White Lady, there's an excellent chance you'll run across the men in blue. The police. So, and rather than being the one taking pictures, you'll be the one having pictures taken of you with a set of numbers across the bottom. So there's the church. And behind it is the cemetery. Very interesting. I like it. So yeah, that's supposedly one of the most haunted cemeteries. So yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. actually is very interesting. So, who knows? Did you guys do anything yesterday for the full moon? Anything at all? I just lit a black candle. Luckily we got black candles in our stores, and they are the pillar ones that are in glass encased. They're wonderful. So I'm just doing my basic manifestation. So, but alright guys, enjoy. I'm still obsessed with all of this, so I love you all very much, and I will see you guys tomorrow with for Sunday with Satan. So, love you all the way from Venus, all the way back down, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So, everybody have a good weekend, and I love you all, and thank you guys for watching.